Hi, I'm Veronica, and I wear two hats. So I'm going to talk about the Great Start Collaboratives today. I'm from Oakland County, and I'm also the state lead for Help Me Grow. So I'm going to talk about both today. So my first question for you is, we've been talking about children being ready. So let's think about, what if all families arrived at being ready, strong, and connected to get what they need, get the resources they need for their children. So we're going to start with the Great Start Collaboratives, and there's Great Start Collaboratives that represent every ISD, every county in our state. I need to look over here. So these are the four outcomes that all of the Great Starts follow through with. So it's children are born healthy, thriving, and developmentally on track from birth to third grade. Children are developmentally ready to succeed in school at the time of school entry, and children are prepared to succeed in fourth grade and beyond by reading proficiently at the end of third grade. So you can see the projection: healthy births, developmentally on track, school ready, and literacy. So the way our funding works is anything that we use our Great Start Collaborative funding should fall under those four outcomes and fall within our strategic plans. The funding is calculated, every community gets a base amount, and then then there's a formula based on population. It's to support the strategic goals and initiatives developed by the collaborative partners across to their community, so it's local system building work. The funding is directed toward achieving measurable outcomes aligned in the Great Start strategic plan. And the way that the strategic plans are developed is through all of our partners. So every community targets their early childhood stakeholders. They then do a year-long community needs assessment with all of their partners. They collect a lot of data, and if you've worked with a Great Start Collaborative, you'll know we're very data heavy, and we want to know what's happening, what's working well, and what's not in our communities. Then we together write a strategic plan. You can see from the slide, these are all of our partners and more. We really say anybody that touches a child prenatally and on, we want to work with. We want to support those families right from being pregnant. We want healthy births. Great Start Collaboratives also support the family coalitions, and the family coalitions support the Great Start Collaboratives. So one of our requirements is part of our collaboratives, 20% of our collaborative body needs to be parents. We bring that parent voice to that system. If we're not hearing from who's using the system, how do we know we're doing the right things? So that's our family coalition. Every community has parent liaisons, and there's requirements for that. These are the purposes: to amplify parent voices, in essence, making sure that the system is working for who it's designed for. And are we bringing the right people to the table? Are we bringing the families that are actually using the system? Great Start Collaboratives, in their strategic plan, everyone functions very differently, and that's based on the community, and that's intentional because it is local system building work. So these are some of the initiatives that Great Starts work on. I could talk all day about all of the initiatives that all of the Great Starts are working at. These are some of them, but there's also lots of other things. Most of us work very closely with strengthening families, and how do we build protective factors into families? How do we promote healthy experiences? How do we mitigate ACEs? So we're doing that work, and we're doing this work, and there's a lot of other things. So my challenge is, go to your collaborative directors, find out what they're doing, because you'd be surprised at how much they're actually doing. So one of the projects that a lot of our Great Start Collaboratives are working on is Help Me Grow. Help Me Grow, there's a lot of confusion about what it is, and I have 10 minutes, so I'm going to go very fast. But if you want to know more, talk to your Great Start Collaborative director or call me. I'm happy to do more. But there are 4 components to to Help Me Grow. A lot of people think we're either central access or developmental screening. We're both. So we are central access, and that means in communities where they're a Help Me Grow affiliate, there is usually a phone line, a website, any way that the family wants to connect about early childhood services, they are the central access. So they're working with all of the community partners. They know what resources are available. A family calls prenatally through age 8, and we can get them the services that they need. We also have family outreach and connection. That's part of the Help Me Grow system model. Help Me Grow is not a program, it's a system model that helps collaboratives develop their system. So we have family and community outreach. A lot of that is done through our family coalitions, as you just saw. We have healthcare provider outreach. One of the things we know when we're talking prenatal to age until they enter preschool, there's not one place that all of our birth to 3 kids go, right? They're just all over the place. So how do we connect with them? How do we, as we talked about earlier, collaboratives are about recruiting. One of the places that we know 90% of our families do end up somewhere is in their local healthcare provider. So we connect with our healthcare providers and we provide them with developmental information. We connect them to early on. And then we also do data collection and analysis. So Help Me Grow is an evidence-based model. It's a national model. There is a return on investment. This is specific to Oakland County. You have to be completely in model fidelity, but there's actually return on investment. And you can see from Oakland County, every dollar invested in Help Me Grow generates $15 in long-term savings. So also it's a national center network. So as we're building systems, we have other people across the country that we're connecting with. How did you do this? Did you develop plan of safe care? What does that look like? So we're constantly growing, building, and we have a network. Also, the thing to note about Help Me Grow specifically is just like the Great Start Collaboratives, it's very, very locally centered. So you build it the way that makes sense for your community. Larger communities have different ways to support families than smaller communities do. And it really Helped Me Grow as a model that works within your community as long as you're meeting your 4 components. This is what it looks, I keep turning from the microphone. This is what it looks like from the state. Right now we have 43 counties. All the yellow counties are Help Me Grow affiliates. So this is where we are. We're serving about 79% of the birth to 5 population. And the beautiful thing is if you're in Oakland County and you move to Wayne County, we know the Help Me Grows. We can say, oh, you're moving, and we connect you right to the next county's Help Me Grow. So really it's building a statewide system so families don't necessarily live by county lines like we do. So when they move, how do we continue to support them? And this is one way that we can build that system. If you see the stars are our pilots. We're trying to do some regional care coordination, and what does that look like if we do some things at a state level? So our partner, we partnered with Clinton RISA, and they are our statewide central access point. So for those counties that have stars, those are the pilot counties that are working with Clinton RISA. And I'm just putting a plug out there because I'm here. So one of the things we're doing another pilot where we're asking 15 more counties to jump on and see what does it look like to do care coordination from a state level. So if anybody's interested, there's a QR code or just go to Help Me Grow and we'll work with you there. But this really is trying to connect all of the counties through one system where families know where to go to get what they need. So moving on to 32P6, that was new as of last year. 32P6 is also funded the way that collaboratives are funded. Everyone gets a base and then it's by population. The basic rule around 32P6 is it's book distribution in essence, or literacy, and you have to serve the families with the highest economic need. So as we talked about, you heard about Talking is Teaching. Some collaboratives use that, some collaboratives use other things. These are some of the literacy initiatives across the state that I know of that are being used. I'm sure there's even more that I missed. But again, I challenge you to go back to your collaborative director, find out what you're doing in your local community and how you can support getting that word out. 32P4 is our home visiting. This is really the only programming that is funded for programming under 32P. This is specific to home visiting. It is a competitive grant. There's about 15 collaboratives that support the 32P4 grant. Again, it's home visiting and it supports evidence-based model home visiting. And those are some of them, not all of them. If you're curious about what evidence-based home visiting is, you can go to the HomeV site and I can get that information to you too. And I want to tell a little story, and I didn't want to run out of time before I told this story. This is Sanaa. Sanaa is one of the families that we met, and I'm just going to tell you a story of how the system works together. We met Sanaa because we were partnering with a local library doing some literacy workshops, a series of literacy workshops. Sanaa joined because she was very isolated. She came as an immigrant with her husband who was working, so she was home all day, didn't have connections or support systems. So she came to the library, she saw our flyer, she came to our literacy group. Part of our literacy group, we provided childcare so the parents could focus on the workshop. In the childcare, some of our childcare providers noticed that something was going on with her child, and we started to have the conversations with her, and she didn't trust us yet. So she was like, no, I'm good, we're good. 2 or 3 more weeks of parent workshops, we kind of approached the subject again, and she's like, okay, we'll do a screening. So we did a developmental screening. We found out that the child had some delays. We got them into early intervention. She moved in, did early intervention, did preschool, moved into kindergarten. And then, in the meantime, she got a job. She actually joined our parent coalition, one of our loudest voices, talking to everybody that she ever met about how great we are. Then she got a job, she moved on, she moved out of the parent coalition. Later, she had another child, and she started noticing some of the same things. So then she called us, because we have Help Me Grow. She called Help Me Grow, and she's like, hey, I know you guys are still here. I haven't been around in a couple years. This is what I'm experiencing. We were able to get her home visiting, bring her right in, and she's one of our biggest advocates now. So starting with just that little play group, or that little, this wasn't a play group, this was a workshop, that little workshop where we could connect with that family, build trust, we were able to get services for her family and her second child, and she's engaged with the schools now. So building that trust from prenatal through, we can build that trust so they can then engage once they're into kindergarten and first grade. We're starting to build that trust of the system. And, oh, forgot the slide was in here. The work with families moves at the speed of trust. And again, I'm gonna challenge you to find out what your Great Start Collaborative is doing, because we all do different things, but for the same purposes. And then so the next topic is gonna be bridging the gap between early childhood and kindergarten. The Great Start Collaboratives are heavily involved with that as well, but I think Sarah is gonna be talking more about 35I.